final quarter begins right now.
And welcome to the final quarter here on CBS 8+. I'm Jake Garriani. That is John Howard. And looky who it is back in the... and cutting me off. Look, you waste no time to get right back in the saddle. Karthik, twice in 2 seconds. I love it. Karthik Venkatraman, welcome back from your vacation. Hopefully it was good. And while you were gone, the San Diego Padres did their thing, which is went up and down and up and down.
I saw.
There was a point, as I'm sure you did see, where they had lost consecutive series to the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners, and it was ugly. People thought the sky was falling, the season was over. Then all of a sudden, they kind of rebounded nicely against a couple bad teams in the Miami Marlins and the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then they take two of the first three against their NL West rival, the San Francisco Giants. It felt like in that series, U2, that the Padres kind of stole those first two games in extra innings and then blew that 5-0 lead in that third game. And as we record right now, they finish up that series. But your assessment of the Padres as they get into what is a grueling month of June. John Howard, we'll start with you and move on to Karthik.
Well, yeah, I talk about grueling. They're playing in 26 of 27 days. So they are in a grueling part of the schedule, just one day off over a 27-day stretch. And you got to wonder about these Padres because they continue to show that they can be hot and cold. And when you talk about them stealing two games from the San Francisco series, they trailed through the eighth inning in both those first two games where they won in extra innings. So you start to wonder how long can they continue to either play from behind or lose. They lost 6 in a row. Currently, they've won 7 of the last 10. But again, I have mentioned this before on this show. I'm concerned the degree to which they just stall offensively for games at a time. And if that happens come September, October, they're going to be in trouble.
Karthik, you have had almost a month to think about what you are about to say right here. No pressure. What is your assessment of these San Diego Padres?
I mean, as I've been saying pretty much all season long, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's 162 games. There's going to be ebbs and flows to the season. Padres obviously started the season off very hot. Then they had some injuries. They cooled down a little bit, heated back up. Recently, it's been a little up and down. I'm not overly concerned with the bats because when we talk about the names, it's proof in the pudding, right? You got guys like Fernando Tatis Jr., who's been struggling a lot lately. I don't expect that to keep happening. Luis Arraez is not hitting as well as he usually does. I don't expect that to keep happening. Jackson Merrill currently on a slump after he started off the season scorching hot before he got injured. And then even after he came back from injury, he was still scorching hot. I don't expect him to keep slumping. Manny Machado, John Howard, has been playing absolutely fantastic lately.
It's a bad day to be a Manny Machado hater, isn't it?
Be a Manny Machado hater, man. But I think for the Padres, it's going to be one of those things that, first off, want to see them get healthy in some regards. Michael King getting back from his injury. You want to see Yu Darvish finally get some pitches in. Dylan Cease took one. I know we're recording this as that game's going on, the final one of the series, but he got hit in the elbow today. So you want to see guys stay healthy, Jason Hayward, guys like those coming back. And, at the same time, I think the bats eventually will awaken. And this Padres team will probably just fine. They're 10 games over 500. With everything that they've gone through this season, it's pretty remarkable in just one game as we record this out of the division lead.
There isn't a Padres fan on the planet that would take 10 games over 500 in one game back of the Dodgers to begin June when you said that at the beginning of the season. The Dodgers were going to be 700 games over 500, running away with the division by the time June came around. They were going to be undefeated. There was no chance the NL West was up for grab. All of a sudden, they're a game back. They're 10 games over 500. And to the point of John, look, June's going to be brutal. He mentioned 26 games in 27 days. It's also 14 of the next 17 on the road, or a stretch of 14 and 17 on the road. It's 14 against NL West opponents. Everything you're going to need to know about the San Diego Padres will likely be proven or at least shown in the month of June. Now, a lot of that, the concern I think going into this month is that starting pitching that you touched on, Karthik. If they have to go through this stretch without a Michael King, without Yu Darvish, whose both injuries kind of concern me because when you're on he could be back in a week, he could be back in a month timeline, that's a little bit frightening. When it's Yu Darvish and it's elbow tightness, that's a little bit frightening. But they've been able to do it so far. They've been able to kind of tread that water. If they get through this month and you go into July and they're still right there within striking distance of the NL West, people have to be feeling really, really good about the brown and gold, in my opinion.
Oh boy, let's throw a parade and put a banner up.
It's not like that.
So we're going to be good in July. Yippee yahoo! You know, the thing about these Padres, and I appreciate what Karthik is saying, these slumps won't last long. In fact, Fernando looks like he's coming out of his in the last 2 days. However, they are still a team that goes into slumps. What were they? 0 for 30-something with runners in scoring position.
It's 162 games,
Every team on the planet goes through the slumps. This is just the one you happen to watch every day.
They go 24 straight innings without scoring a run in the postseason last year. That's just what I'm hoping to avoid this fall, but we've seen signs of it continuing to happen this spring.
It's all about getting hot at the right time. They got hot going into the postseason last year. Obviously, they tapered off there at the end. John, only time will tell, my guy. We got to wait till fall for all that to happen. Right now, we're talking about June baseball. It's about getting healthy. I will say one thing that I've liked about the Padres, even as they've gotten injuries, guys have stepped up. Even Berger the other day had to come onto the mound.
Yeah.
He pitched really well. Reynolds pitched very well in his 3 innings that he had to pitch. And then Stephen Kolek, had kind of just got thrusted into, and he's been pretty good too. So, on the pitching side of things, they've been able to find solutions with all the adversity that they've had to face. And, John can say whatever he wants. They're 10 games over 500 right now with everything they've dealt with. So,
and look, this isn't the team that you're going to see. I mean, A.J. Preller is going to be hard at work. Left field will not be this gaping hole. I assure you he will address that, whether it be a Jarren Duran, like all the rumors are right now, or a guy like Luis Robert, even a Cedric Mullins from the Orioles. He will address that left field situation. The days of watching Gavin Sheets run full speed into the wall in left field are over, okay? Hopefully he addresses that. And then at the same time, I'm sure on his radar is another starting pitcher, maybe a bullpen arm like a Jake Bird from Colorado. I think the reason June is so important is because if this team maintains this pace and they get into July, it shows everything to A.J. Preller that he can make those moves, that he can be 100% a buyer come the deadline and not where are we, what is going to be this team come that time of year. Let's go ahead and take a look at these NL West standings as I caught our producer off guard just a little bit there as he came back out. There they are. Thank you very much, Adam Klatt. One measly game behind the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have, even though at 37-25, had plenty of struggles of their own right now. And then you see the Giants there, the Diamondbacks, who I honestly think by the time all is said and done, the Diamondbacks will be the biggest threat opposed to the Giants, to the Padres and the Dodgers. And how about it? Look, shout out Colorado Rockies. They got us. They finally, they not only won a series, folks, they swept the Miami Marlins, the Colorado Rockies. Huge shout out to you, 12-50 on the season. What a moment for them. You want to talk about a parade, John Howard? It's going to be running through Lodo in Denver, baby.
Colorado, the hottest team in baseball right now, huh? The other thing I'll add about the Padres pitching and the fact that they're just 1 game back of the Dodgers, a lot of talk about Yu Darvish doing bullpen sessions, and maybe he'll be coming back sooner than later, which would be a great addition to see back to the lineup to provide the starting rotation some depth.
And we've talked a bunch about June. Let's take a look at their upcoming schedule real quick while we're on the topic of it. They finish up that series, as we mentioned, in San Francisco, looking for that series win. And then it's off to Milwaukee, who's playing decent baseball. Then look, there it is, right? The Dodgers, the 6-9 through 6-11, every single person in the baseball world will have their eyes on that series. And then you got to go straight to Arizona and take on a really good Diamondbacks team. I know they're just 500 right now, but that's a good ball club. And then not pictured right after 6-15, the Dodgers again. All right, so here are a lot of very important teams for the San Diego Padres. Either of you two have anything left on the brown and gold before we wrap up our talk about the Friars?
they got to beat L.A.
Simple as that, right?
I think those will be very entertaining games. I can't wait to watch them.
It's going to be a lot of fun, a big month of June. Let's move on to the pitch where SDFC got their revenge. It is a dish best served Chucky style, my friends. They beat Austin FC, the team that handed them their first loss in their franchise history. They did it here at Snapdragon Stadium. You see the local guy right there, Luca De La Torre, putting one home. They would add one late in stoppage time as well. SDFC continues to impress, folks. 9-5-3 on the season. Let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's what a turnaround. I mean, that first time they played Austin, it looked like a bloodbath early on. I mean, other than that, I think it was Luca Della Torre that scored in that goal against Austin in the first one. I mean, they looked like they were getting run all over in that game, and that place was absolutely electric. I remember switching that game off because I was just like, man, San Diego FC is not coming back in this game. That's how strong Austin looks. So what a bounce back for them. Obviously, you said Chucky style. We were going to want to see Chucky get healthy, and we'll touch on that here shortly. But right now, obviously, with the FIFA international break, we'll see what San Diego FC is going to provide with some of their younger guys moving forward.
Yeah, the FIFA international break has 7 players from SDFC going on to international duty, so not with the team. Chuque actually kind of got called up to the Mexico team a week or so ago, but now he is not going to be going to Mexico for those international friendlies for the Mexicans. He's staying home here in San Diego to deal with injuries. So it will be very interesting. Their matchup this weekend is a friendly. But it'll be interesting to see later in the month how they do with Karthik, like you say, the younger players, and without their star international players on the pitch.
And Karthik, you were just recently out there at their training. You got the update on Chucky, and you have more on it. Go ahead and share that with the folks.
Yeah, head coach Mike Ibarra is talking about his hamstring issue. It's the same hamstring that he hurt earlier this season that forced him to miss 3 games. Here's what Varas had to say.
Injury to the same leg, same muscle, different part of the muscle, and not as significant as the last one, which was already a moderate one. So his return to play will be quicker than last time. And the original injury where that muscle was injured is still completely healed. So if there's silver lining within the context of the injury, that original injury is healed. It's just a different part of the muscle, and so hopefully this is part of the process of the overall muscle, because that muscle has multiple parts to it, strengthening of it.
Obviously optimistic that they don't think it's going to take as much time for him to heal this time. Obviously, when Chucky's been playing, he's been absolutely fantastic. Obviously, San Diego FC wants him to stay healthy, and hopefully injuring the same hamstring over 2 times in the same season is a little concerning. I think hopefully it's not an issue moving forward.
And here's a properly built graphic for the schedule coming.
You're poking the bear.
If you watch us regularly on our CBS 8 Plus streaming, you know John Howard and I disagree on this a little bit, but here it is. They'll take Club America, and then they will return to MLS action on the 16th, I believe, when they will face Minnesota. 6/14, excuse me, they'll face Minnesota, and that will be on the road. But right now, 2nd place in the Western Conference, and it's been pretty smooth sailing. Obviously, you don't want to see your DPs be injured, though. Any final thoughts on SDFC? Are you ready to move on to the ladies that are dominating the pitch?
I say we move on, and when we get to the wave graphic, I'll explain the proper way to build a match.
Here it is, baby. Here's your San Diego Wave graphic. They will take on the Seattle Reign. That is June 6th, Friday, 7 p.m. at Snapdragon Stadium. John Howard, have your moment.
Okay, so for decades here in America, when you put a sports competition on the screen, you put the visiting team on the left and the home team on the right so that your mind reads, if you're looking at this graphic, that should read San Diego at the Seattle Reign. But the thing is, in soccer, they do it the opposite way. In soccer, they put the home team on the left, visiting team on the right, so it would read San Diego is hosting the Seattle Reign. And Jake likes to go the soccer route. I like to go the American route. There you have it.
Karthik, can you settle this? Let's see some highlights of the wave real quick so we don't bore the people too much with our brilliant graphics. Karthik, I'll spare you the idea of settling that I'm right and John's wrong, and we'll just let you talk about the San Diego Wave here. They've been incredibly impressive. 6 straight matches. They have not lost, and really, you want to talk about things going the right direction, Karthik.
Yeah, I mean, they're the hottest team in the NWSL right now, the way that they're playing over those 6 matches. 5 wins, 1 draw. They've been so good. I really think this team is so rejuvenated from last year, and you can kind of really see it with the culture, the style of play that they've really been working on this season that's allowed them to score more goals. They are just a really fun team to watch. If you haven't gotten a chance to watch them, I strongly encourage you to, because they play with pace, they play quick, they move the ball really well, and they're putting the ball in the back of the net, and they've come up in some clutch moments as well. The San Diego Wave, one of the best teams in the NWSL, and man, I mean, we've seen some success from them through their first couple of years as a franchise, not so good last year. I think we might be looking at what we saw in those first couple years, more so than last year moving forward. This team is really good.
Yeah, last year this team couldn't score. And Karthik, you mentioned they're finding the back of the net this year. They're second in the league in scoring. May was amazing, unbeaten in the month of May. In fact, head coach Jonas Adeveld named Coach of the Month by the NWSL Media Association. So this team is hot. They're on a streak. They're 4 points out of first place. A lot of fun to tune in and watch if you have not been doing so.
And they have a 17-year-old star who has really been taking the league by storm. Let's hear from her right now.
It's unreal, the experience I've had this year. The team is great, and without them I could not do what I've been doing. So yeah, I appreciate them, and I hope we can keep it going. I mean, it is a dream that I've had, but for it to become a reality is crazy, and I wasn't expecting it this year, but I'm glad it came.
Yeah, what she's talking about, that's Kimi Ascanio, by the way, a midfielder for this team. She scored 3 goals in the last 5 games. Not only that, the youngest player in NWSL history to score back-to-back goals in the regular season. She's been playing absolutely phenomenal, turning it up lately. The contributions this team has gotten from their 17-year-olds in general this season has been fantastic, but Kimi has really been heating it up as of lately and a big part of their success.
I love how unassuming she is as a 7-year-old dealing with the media, yet very comfortable looking into the camera. A lot of athletes, especially early on, oh, do I look here? Do I look off camera? But a kick in the pants to watch her. She hasn't gotten that professional athlete 10-second soundbite done yet, which I absolutely love because you're seeing her natural personality come out. But a kick in the pants to watch a 17-year-old at the highest level of the game really dominating in the last 3-4 matches.
It really is insane. When you're talking about going out there playing against other grown women in the best league that they have to offer here in the United States for women's soccer, and she's going out there not only playing well, but really dominating. When I was 17 years old, I was just trying to figure out where I was going with life, right? I couldn't even get into Baylor, for example. I could barely even get into school, and she's out here dominating the NWSL. So shout out to them. Shout out to the Wave. Again, June 6th, they take on the Seattle Reign. Let's move on to the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Indiana Pacers. This has felt like it's been a collision course since the postseason started with the way the Pacers play offense and really Oklahoma City in general. Game 1 is tonight as we record. Your guys' thoughts on these NBA Finals?
Listen, man, the Pacers got to win this series, and the only reason why you guys know I'm going to say that is because if my Cleveland Cavaliers are going out, they're
make
be the
it
team
about the
that lost to
Cavs.
the NBA champions, baby. But honestly, I really think this is going to be a really fun series. I think a lot of people are counting out the Indiana Pacers in the series because of how well the Thunder have been playing, how well Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's been this year in his MVP season. But do not count out the Pacers in this one. I'm telling you, they play such an exciting brand of basketball where as soon as they grab the rebound, they're bolting up the other side of the court. And if you're not ready on defense, it's almost 2 points or 3 points every single time. This Pacers team's a lot of fun. They got a really clutch player in Tyrese Halliburton. They got different guys coming into the mix and contributing for this team. Pascal Siakam, he won the Eastern Conference MVP. I mean, he was fantastic in that series and showed that he can carry the team on his back. You got guys like Benedict Mathurin, Miles Turner. I mean, they've got different dudes that can really step up. Oklahoma City on the other side, very good too with guys like Lou Dort, Jalen Williams. I mentioned Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Hartstein, the Holmgren. You can go down the list with them. I think this is going to be a really interesting series. I think a lot of people might be turned off because it's Oklahoma City versus Indiana.
You ain't a basketball fan if you're turned off.
Teams, but if you haven't been paying attention, these two teams are really darn good. I think this could really go 7, and I think it's going to be a great series.
Yeah, but did you pick which team's going to win?
You want me to? John, you're not a fan of my predictions, but here we go. Indiana Pacers win in 7 games, breaking the Oklahoma City
All right,
Thunder.
well, I'm going to go with OKC then. As entertaining as Halliburton is, the quarterback for the Pacers, I like Oklahoma City's defense. I like their ability to play strong. SGA, he can be the first player to win a scoring title and an NBA title since Shaq did it some 25 years ago. So I'm picking OKC, as I have all season long, to win the NBA championship.
As I have all season long. It really is. I agree that this is going to be an unbelievable series. I think these two teams are really well matched. It's going to be nonstop running of the floor. I mean, these two teams play at pace, at pace, at pace, at pace. It is a lot of fun basketball to watch. That's why I said, Karthik, if you're not a fan of this because it's OKC versus the Pacers, you ain't a basketball fan. I'm sorry. This is high-quality basketball, the best it's going to be in a long time. I'm very much looking forward to this series. And I think when you listed just about every player in this series, Karthik, you left off maybe the most important, in my opinion. Alex Caruso has been so clutch on defense for the Oklahoma City Thunder. It is going to be Pacers' incredible offense versus really what is a perfectly polished product in OKC. I like it going deep. I think it goes 6. I think OKC does finish the job, though. They win it this time around, but that is no slight at the Pacers. I think they're an unbelievable team. It's going to be a fantastic, fantastic series. Any final thoughts on that? Are you guys ready to move on to one of the issues, I guess, that came from
controversy.
Now, the reason the Pacers are in the NBA Finals is because they took down the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, and Tom Thibodeau was the scapegoat for New York. He was quickly fired after taking the Knicks all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. And really, look back in history, it had been forever for all the things the Knicks accomplished this year. And Thibodeau gets the boot, which is kind of surprising. Not only is it surprising because of how successful they were and how far they went, but they had just re-signed this guy to a 3-year deal. Were you guys surprised to see Tom Thibodeau get the axe, or is this just the culture of the NBA? Because we've seen it with the Mike Malones and these other coaches where, hey, we don't wait around anymore, we're moving on.
Well, I think I would say nothing shocks me anymore, but I was surprised by this. What's amazing is when you have the fake websites out there joking that the Knicks fire Tom Thibodeau, and then 3 days later, he does get fired. It just goes to show you no one really expected this to happen. The 3-year deal, the success, getting his team all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's unbelievable how they, get rid of these coaches, and it just increases the coaching carousel. I'm surprised. I'm pretty shocked about it, actually.
I was pretty shocked when it first came out, because how often do you see a guy in the season take their team to the Eastern Conference Finals and immediately get let go on the way, defeating the defending NBA champions and the Boston Celtics? Might I add, they were down in a lot of those games, but overall, they beat them pretty soundly. And, for that reason, I think I was pretty shocked. Obviously, I'm sure there was a lot of disappointment in the Knicks organization that they didn't get the job done in a series they probably believed they should have won, and they probably believed that they should have done more with the talent that they had on their roster with guys like Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart, etc. They are a very talented basketball team, no doubt about it, and I think that's probably where the disappointment comes. But I think, just in sports in general, in the NBA, we've seen it a couple of times, but just in sports in general, there's always this thought that we can find something better. There's always something better. There's some sort of philosophy that is always better. And I don't know if I really buy into it a whole lot. The guy just took you to the Eastern Conference Finals with a talented team, a very defensive-minded coach. Retool it. You got to give, I think, in my opinion, you got to give him one more go. If you want to say that he's underaccomplished in his time that he's been with the New York Knicks over the 5 seasons that he's had, including that first season where Julius Randle had like an MVP type of season, you could go down the list. But for me, it's just like when a guy takes you to the Eastern Conference Finals, accomplish something that the Knicks haven't done in decades, back-to-back 50-win seasons, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. It doesn't really make sense to me. It's okay to be this good, and I understand winning a championship is the end-all, be-all in this profession, but for me, I don't really know. It just didn't make sense to me.
I think it caught a lot of people off guard. I think complacency is not okay. That wasn't complacency. They took them to the Eastern Conference Finals. You mentioned the back-to-back 50-win seasons. The Game 1 collapse to Indiana was completely unacceptable. I do think Thibodeau was outcoached in that series against the Pacers. Does that mean he deserved to be fired? I don't think so. Who do they bring in? I'm not sure. Mark Jackson, Mike Malone. We'll see. But it's going to be a interesting scene there in New York if things are not successful next year without Tom Thibodeau. Let's move to the ice. Speaking of the finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, we do have a game in the books for this one, a rematch of last year between Edmonton and Florida, and it was a Game 1 overtime thriller to get things started. I know hockey isn't the biggest sport out there. I am a diehard hockey fan. That was a fun game one. That was everything you hope for when you watch hockey. And the Oilers take game one. And I think there was a lot of nervous people in Edmonton that ended up getting to party the night away north of the border.
Yeah, go ahead, Karthik.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, like, very on par, first off, for the NHL playoffs, that we have yet another classic type of game that goes down to the wire and finishes up in overtime, and obviously a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Finals. What a great start to this series. I'm not the biggest hockey guy, as Jake said, but I have been kind of keeping up with this NHL playoff specifically just because of how good the play has been and how exciting the playoffs have been. I really hope the rest of the series is like this because, hey, maybe you get a hockey fan out of me at the end of it.
Yeah, I'll make you into a hockey fan. Go ahead, guys.
I tried to jump onto your avalanche. It didn't work for you, Jake.
Yeah, high drama in that game number one. And in overtime, when the shot goes off the pipe and the overtime period extends all the way down to the final minute, just great action. Edmonton comes out on top, but I'm picking Florida. Florida, I think, is in its third straight NHL Finals. So I look for them. They had built a 3-1 lead in game one last night. And I look for them to rebound and win this series. I think it'll go 7 games.
I think that's almost the difference this time around. Last year's Edmonton Oilers, I don't think they come back from that 3-1 deficit. I like Edmonton in this series. I don't know if you guys had seen the video of Edmonton after they lost that Game 7. Remember, they went down 3-0 last season, forced that Game 7 against the Panthers, and then lost. And then there was that chilling shot of Connor McDavid and all the Oilers in the locker room after room, and it was just dead silent. And eventually it was like, we're going to be back. They're back. I think they hoist Lord Stanley this time around. Connor McDavid deserves it. Leon Draisaitl netted that overtime goal, by the way. It was his 3rd overtime winner in this postseason, which tied an NHL record with the likes of Maurice Richard, Corey Perry, and a couple other cats. So what a start to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and it's going to be a fun one. And we'll have an update for you right back here on the final quarter on CBS 8+. Next week, we are here every single week for you, and the gang is back together, all 3 of us. How about it? As always, you two send them off.
Well, I'm going to say Dodgers, you're getting swept next week in San Diego.
Woo! I'm touching on a topic we haven't yet. Coco Gauff win the French Open, baby.
Yeah,
there you go. A little tennis love. Coco Gauff, go get it. You guys have a great rest of your week. We'll be right back here next week.